Hi, Great Tiger here, and welcome to the Monstrous Arcanum, the source of multiple models in Total War Warhammer 2. Today, we will take a look at the various dragons that are yet to be added to the game, which we may see added at some point during the life of Warhammer 3. Now let's start with a dragon that is often associated with the dwarves, the Shard Dragon. They are enormous, serpent-like beasts, with razor-sharp scales that form a formidable defensive barrier, as anyone who gets too close is often impaled. Prowling the dark depths of the world, they stalk their prey silently, pulling themselves over the ground with their long sickle-like claws. They are so ferocious that they will attack anything they see, and their stubborn demeanour has earned them many grudges and some respect with the dwarves, as they often clash in the underways. Over the centuries, the dwarves have learned how to construct powerful runic collars to control the murderous rage and to release it upon their enemies. Over time, other races tried to control these beasts with powerful binding spells. Their limited success means that Shard Dragons are still a very rare sight on the battlefield. If Shard Dragons are ever added to the game, then they should only be available from certain regions in the mountainous parts of the map, and only dwarves should be able to recruit them into their armies from settlements. Their recruitment should be from tier 5 buildings, with perhaps a cap on their number, in much the same way that the Tomb Kings have. They should be relatively slow moving and unable to fly, instead pulling themselves across the ground, leaving a poisonous burning trail that does damage to any unit that crosses it. They should be immensely strong, causing armor-piercing damage from their claws. They should also have high physical resistance, and a passive effect that causes damage to enemies that hit it, to represent the razor-sharp armor. The dwarves are currently in need of a big-scale model to anchor the line around, and the Shard Dragon could certainly fill this gap. The major downside, however, would be the feel of the dwarves may be lost if Shard Dragons can be added in great numbers. Regardless of this danger, I would love to see the Shard Dragon added to the game. Our next beast are the Toad Dragons, which are limited to the cold mires in the northern wastes. They are huge creatures that reek of the swamp in which they dwell, and are fortunately very few in number. Much like Shard Dragons, there is much conjecture about the lineage of Toad Dragons, as they seem to be far closer related to the monsters of Lustria than any form of dragon kind. Toad Dragons are renowned for their strength, drawn from their huge bulk and compact form. Their breath is so powerful and corrosive that it can melt the flesh off the most heavily armoured of beasts and cut through steel in mere seconds. Will we ever see Toad Dragons added to the game? I doubt it, but it would be fantastic to have these beasts in the far north, available solely to the armies of Chaos. They could be limited to recruitment purely in the cold mires, and perform better in combat in the more corrupted environments. Recruitable at tier 5, they would be as big and as a Dread Saurian, with a high weapon strength and bonus for its infantry. Its scales would provide it with a high armor value and some magical resistance. There is an instance of a Toad Dragon being used as a mount by the Chaos Lord Tamukran, a chosen son of Nurgle, who bound Bubalos, a great Toad Dragon, to his will. Now, the third dragon we'll examine is perhaps the most malevolent of the dragon race, having their lairs within the volcanic regions of the world, most prominently the Black Spine Mountains in Nagaroth. The Magma Dragons are a sight to behold, with thick obsidian scales which radiate a white-hot heat. Upon leaving their lairs, their favourite prey are formidable beasts like manticores and chimera, though, when hungry, they will happily eat men or elves. Magma Dragons have a powerful breath attack of sulphurous flame that burns everything in its path, and is widely known as the strongest of all dragon breaths. If added to the game, then Magma Dragons should be limited to the volcanic regions of the world, and should be capped much like the Shard Dragons would, to ensure that they are a very rare sight on the battlefield. They will be fast-moving, able to fly, and have a devastating breath attack over a large area. Their scales will provide them with a high level of armor and physical and fire resistance. They should also come with an aura, where units are affected by the heat emanating from their scales and suffer penalties to melee attack and melee defense. Once again, I would love to see Magma Dragons added to the game in a limited fashion, and recruitable by a handful of races like Dark Elves, Chaos Warriors, and Chaos Dwarves when they are added in Game 3. Now, the last dragon we have for today is the Warpfire Dragon, Hateful creatures that are a rarity in the old world. Warpfire Dragons gain their destructive power in part from devouring pure warpstone, which turns their bodies into vessels of arcane power. Their scales are covered in warpstone crystals, and the very air around them vibrates with magical energies, tearing at the flesh and the minds of any foe foolish enough to get close. They are unlike other dragons in that they spew forth blasts of lightning in their breath attack, which is able to damage creatures of magic and those on the spirit plane. The immense power of the warpstone energies contained within them is so great that when a Warpfire Dragon is killed, it will often explode in a massive explosion that does incredible damage to all around it. Now, Warpfire Dragons require so much warpstone that they can often be found assaulting Skaven strongholds to satiate their craving, and in some instances, wizards have been known to bargain with Warpfire Dragons for their might in battle. If added to the game, then Warpfire Dragons should be limited much in the same way as Shard Dragons and Magma Dragons, and they would only be available to the Skaven and Armies of Chaos. They would have a high level of magic resistance thanks to the warpstone infused within their bodies, and would be a fast-moving creature with high melee attack and bonus for infantry. Much like other dragons in this video, I would not say no to these creatures being added to the game, as I believe that variety in the game is a wonderful thing. Well, that's all the dragons for today. I would love to know what your thoughts are on adding any or all of these dragons, or are there any other dragons that could or should be added that I may have missed? If you enjoy my content, please leave a like, and if you want to support the channel, then you can find me on Patreon. I'm Grey Tiger, and I'll hopefully see you next time.